Hello my Foonatics and welcome to week 2 of the PPL season 4, and this week Mewcastle United are facing off against the Tampa Bay Luxrays and Monotooii. We have played him before in the season of the GBA that has just been, and I managed to get a victory there, one of my first I think, or maybe it was my third, but I don't know. Yeah, so that was the only time I played him. I know that he is a great battler and someone that I am always very nervous to play against. This week, our team matchup I will go into in a sec. I'll go into the team builder first. If you just want to watch the battle, then you can skip ahead to the time link in the description below. But this week is going to be post-commed, just because I've read feedback from people. Some people prefer post-com, some people prefer live, and I will try and do a mix of both this season to keep people happy, to keep myself happy as well, because I like recording in different ways, and also just means that in different circumstances, sometimes I can't do live, sometimes I can't do, sometimes it's just quicker to do live because I can record it then and there and it's done. But this week is going to be post-com, so yeah, whatever. I'll get into the team builder now, so click ahead if you aren't interested. Looking at his team, we've got a really interesting matchup. Basically, the offense on both of our teams is really good against most of the offense on the other team, and so that's going to be really interesting to see. So for me, I realised that he only has one flying resist in Thunderous, so that means that Talonflame potentially has a really good time against Mono's team, so I definitely wanted to bring that. But then the set, deciding upon it was quite hard, because like an SD set is very tempting. However, there was a big limitation to that, which I'll go on to in a minute. But Banded seems to be the best way to use this for me, because I really will be able to nuke things, and his walls don't really take it on too well. He does have the potential Fortress, which I need Flare Blitz for. I put U-turn on there just to try and keep momentum, although I'm aware that a Rocky Helmet would kind of be quite likely, seeing as though it's a good way to deal with Talonflame with all the recall moves anyway. And the last move, I thought Tailwind would be good, specifically for a couple of ones that I'll go into in a minute. So just a banded wall breaker Talonflame, really, that should be very good. Good at revenging as well. The next Pokemon that I'm bringing is kind of a Pokemon, so I'm bringing Starmie because Starmie's great. The matchups that it has both weeks have been really quite decent. I could have brought a more offensive Starmie because actually it does do a lot of damage. With Natural Cure, it means that it can outspeed Thunderous and not fear being T-waved, so it could potentially threaten that with an Ice Beam. It has Thunderbolt coverage as well, which is good because Jellicent is a likely switch in. But then I went to do calcs, and a Life Orb Starmie against a Jellicent does very little damage even with Thunderbolt, and Specs wasn't really a good idea because it could well be Pursuit trapped as well with Skuntank. So those are the two limitations for an offensive Starmie, is that Jellicent kind of stops it anyway, and also Skuntank can Pursuit Trap. So interestingly, I decided not to bring Spin because Jellicent is probably going to be the switch in anyway, and I can't do anything to it, and I could be Pursuit Trapped, so I thought this set would be better. It's Reflect type, which means that I can't be Pursuit Trapped by Skuntank unless it is Scarfed, and even then, I think I can live a Scarfed Pursuit Reflect type, live another Scarfed Pursuit now that it's resisted, and recover, so that's good. I've got Scald there just to get burns on things, which will be really helpful. Toxic, specifically for trying to beat Jellicent, and the EVs are enough so that I outspeed Thunderous, so that I can potentially get a Scald off on that. I can also revenge Terrakion, which is good, but then the rest really in bulk so that I can safely get a Toxic off against Jellicent. So that was the set there. I'm looking forward to trying to use this more bulky utility set, which can still be a revenge killer as its special attack is reasonable. It's reasonable. And Natural Cure meaning that I can't get status. So that's really good. But it means that I don't have any hazard removal, and that's why I went with Banded Talonflame, because I just wanted to break some walls volts before it goes down, whereas like an SD Talonflame can't keep switching in and out for setup opportunities, or especially defensive definitely can't keep switching in and out. So I thought that Banded Talonflame would work better. The next Pokemon that I'm bringing... Oh, and I didn't feel like Defog was a good option either, because Mandibuzz has the worst matchup. If it's trying to wall offense, it has to wall Mega Altaria, one of the most powerful fairies. It has to wall Terrakion, which is a ridiculously powerful rock type, and also Thundurus, which is a ridiculously powerful electric type. So it's not going to be walling anything very well, and it just would be pretty useless against this team. So no hazard removal, which could be a bit of an issue, but we will see if it is in the battle. The next Pokemon I'm bringing is going to be Aggron. I really needed something for Mega Altaria, and pretty much this is the only thing that could take it on. So what I've done is I've made it fully especially defensive with tiny bit of speed, so that I can maybe outspeed a Piloswine, which has a bit of creep on it. And I've gone specially defensive because if it's a special Altaria, then it's not as scary. I have other things that can kind of help deal with it. But it means that this guy can help deal with it too. It's more for like a mixed Altaria, a mixed DD set with Fire Blast. A +1 Earthquake to this guy without any defense investment does max 40, I think. So it really, if it's just a physical set, this stops it even without any defense investment. But if it's a mixed set, Fire Blast can potentially do more damage. So that's why I've gone more specially defensive. Heavy Slam is an OHKO, even uninvested, which is good. If I invest, it OHKOs Piloswine too, which is cool, but I didn't, so it won't. But yeah, and then Taunt is there for Fortress mainly. I could have put Fire Punch on there, but I really don't want him to hazard stack. As I say, I've got no hazard removal, so Taunt is could potentially be important, as well as stopping some things from maybe recovering or getting cheeky setup or anything like that. And Rocks just to help me, especially with Thundurus. I felt like that would be a good thing to have. So that is Sakillalot this week. Another thing that has a really nice offensive matchup is my Sylveon, because his only resist is Fortress, and if it's defensive, which I think if it comes it's more likely to be to deal with Haxorus, then this thing can 2-hit KO it. It basically 2-hit KOs anything on his team, which is fantastic. If it's especially defensive Fortress, then it can take 2. It can take 3, so it can come in, switch in once, and then it can switch in again. It can switch in twice, but that's it. Yeah, and it's just really powerful. I've gone for a more bulky set, was considering outspeeding an uninvested Altaria in case it's like a bulky special set or something like that. But decided that I would be losing out on too much bulk in that instance, and I want Sylveon to be able to switch in on things like passive walls like Jellicent. So I thought that would be a bit more important. So there's Sylveon. The next Pokemon is the thing to deal with, Thundurus, because that has a really good... it's just a scary Pokemon, and I didn't realise until I was doing calcs, but Grass Knot is only 40 base power against Lantern, so an Assault Vest Lantern is a really good stop to Thundurus, unless it has kind of some physical moves which might hit a bit harder, but it doesn't really get great coverage on that side for Lantern anyway. And it's pretty standard, pretty standard Assault Vest Lantern, with all the special defense investment to make it really specially bulky, and max special attack modest, so that it actually has some special attack to hit with. So that's good. And he doesn't really have anything that might want to speed creep it. I probably should have put the 4 in defense, but then again, having a slower Volt Switch is never a bad thing. So if anything does want to speed creep this, I can get a slow Volt Switch off, which is good. And the final thing that I'm bringing, which is actually the thing that I kind of built around and that I see as my win condition, is going to be Golurk. And that is because his coverage is great. Like, Earthquake hits so many things on his team. Ice Punch hits the things that Earthquake doesn't hit. And then I've also got Shadow Punch on there because the bulky walls in Jellicent and Mew I could have trouble taking down. So having an Expert Belt, Iron Fist boosted Shadow Punch with Stab and all that, Adamant, max attack, it should do a decent amount even if they're max defense. And obviously Rock Polish is the way that he is the win condition. If I get the Rock Polish up, as long as Fortress has taken damage and Skuntank I have seen doesn't have Sucker Punch, then I should be okay. Even then, I can know that I can take one Sucker Punch, I think. Maybe not, maybe not. But I do have a nice amount of bulk. Enough speed to outspeed Thunderous at +2. Obviously, Thunderous can't T-Wave me, which is very nice. So yeah, this guy just hits like a truck, and if I can get him set up at the right opportunity, which I should be able to because Terrakion is there. If Terrakion comes, I'm not sure if it will, but just because of this guy, but if it does come, then I can set up on either of its stabs. In fact, it doesn't really have anything to hit me. The most powerful thing it would have would be Earthquake, so I definitely would be able to set up on a Terrakion unless it taunts me, and that would be quite brave for a Terrakion to taunt a Golurk. So yeah, that's what I see as my win con. So looking at the team, I think it's pretty good, but as I say, the matchup in terms of offense is quite scary. Altaria could still be a problem, especially if he plays around Mega Aggron well and gets it weakened, then Altaria could be a real issue. Also, hazards I'm scared of this time. I just really don't want to be hazard stacked, and that could be a real issue. So anyway, we'll see what happens as we get into the battle. Okay, so as you can see, we're on Showdown. When I had this battle, I was still in my apartment. I'm currently home for the weekend before I'm moving into my house, which is very exciting. So that means DS battles again, which is great because they look so much better. I understand. But it's Showdown for this week, so bear with me. And that's also why the sound quality is improved. But anyway, yeah, so looking at the team that Mono brought, no surprises apart from the man himself, Heatmore, is there. That's definitely not something that I expected. I did see it on the draft roster. Wasn't too scared though, because I know that I've got an AV Lantern, and it doesn't have too much to do to an AV Lantern. It can Giga Drain me, and that's about it. It could potentially have... I think it gets knockoff, maybe not. I know it gets Sucker Punch. But that would maybe do more damage, I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm not too scared of it still. The only thing is that if it has to deal with both Thunderous and Heatmore, could be a few problems. But Heatmore is potentially a threat to my team. I'm just going to put it out there, because Starmie's fast and its Sucker Punch is that. I mean, my bird can deal with it. But yeah, it kind of beats a lot of my team, and I'm kind of scared. And it also, to point out, Skuntank did end up coming, and the combination of Skuntank and Heatmore, both being Sucker Punchers, could mean that my Golurk is not going to be as useful, and I need to time the Rock Polish quite well. But other than that, yeah, a lot of what I expected, apart from Fortress, no hazard stacking it, that is a weight off my mind. Now, what is he going to lead with? I wasn't really sure. I just felt like leading with Talonflame, because as soon as he gets up his rocks, that's half my health gone already. So I was like, let's just throw it out there and see. It could be a potential revenge killer. It could be potentially a good revenge killer, but his fast things, I have good things to deal with. Like Terrakion, I have Golurk to bring in if it's, well, whatever set the Terrakion is. So if it gets a kill, I can bring in Golurk. And with the Thunderous, I've got the hard switch into Lantern, which is really safe. So I'm not too concerned about keeping my Talonflame alive for revenge killing purposes. So I feel like I can be a bit more risky with it. The things I would do want to keep alive, but Golurk is really good. Sylveon is good at dealing with some of the special attackers there. And also Starmie has an amazing matchup. I'm just going to say it right now, but Starmie does really well. In terms of, yeah, in theory it could do a very, very good job. Thunderous is really the only thing that it really fears. Everything else it can kind of deal with. So let's get into the battle and see what he leads with. I'm going to lead Talonflame, and he decides to lead with Terrakion. Now, right here, as I say, I want to play a bit riskier with my Talonflame. If he gets rocks up, then that's really annoying. I couldn't U-turn this turn because I'm slower than a jolly Terrakion, so I kind of, if I want to stay in, I have to go for the Brave Bird. It'll do a ton of damage, and if rocks go up, then it's whatever. He could well predict the switch and just go for the rocks too, so I feel like Brave Bird is my best play at this stage. I could be sacking my Talonflame, and that wouldn't be very good, but hopefully he'll overpredict, and if not, just getting damage on Terrakion is a very good thing to do, because he's probably Sash. He's the way he's leading with it, he's probably Sash, but we'll see. So yeah, I'm just going to go for the Brave Bird, do some really nice damage, 81%, and Terrakion actually stays in, and it goes for the Stone Edge, which misses! That is why we love post-com, but it was, yeah, that was a bad miss, and I felt awful about it. There was a miss last week with Togekiss's Fire Blast. Again, that was a pretty bad miss too. I'm not sure how much of an impact it would have had on the rest of the game. It's really hard to say. This would definitely have had an impact on the rest of the game, because it puts me in a great position right now. Puts me in a really good position. I can just click Brave Bird again. Something else is going to take a huge hit, and that wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have had my Talonflame. I would be having to avenge this, and it would be a hard decision of to what to bring in. But as it stands, yeah, it's good. I just want to say right now, that is one good thing about Talonflame, is that if you want to have a guaranteed way of killing it, that means running a rock move, which is going to miss. So it's never a guaranteed way of killing a Talonflame. Talonflame is, I like that about Talonflame. And I also like that about this team. I don't think that I'm running any low accuracy moves at all. With drafts, I'm always aware of that, and I don't like having to rely on low accuracy moves. And so therefore, forcing the opponents to do that is a very good thing. But that's a side thing. I felt awful about that Stone Edge miss, because it really, really... it made the beginning of the battle a completely different thing. So now Mono has to switch in on Talonflame, and I'm looking like I'm going to get a kill right now, which is fantastic. But Mew comes in, and we see here that I do 45%, which is a lot less than I thought I'd be doing, and that means it's fully defensive Mew. Bulky psychic types for this team are a little bit scary. I do have ways to deal with this though, depending on the set. I know that he's fully defensive though, so I can just go straight into Dapper Pupper. He won't have too much to do to my Sylveon, and I can just fire off a Specs Hyper Voice straight away just to gauge to see what he wants to do. Turns out he's Calm Mind Mew, and after a Calm Mind, I'm doing less than 50%. That is Mew's bulk. That is a bit upsetting. I can't stay in and just let him set up Calm Minds. Bit of a scary threat, but as I say, I think I can deal with it. He'll have Roost, he'll have Calm Mind, and we've seen Surf, he'll definitely have another attack. So I feel quite safe going into David here and just going for a Toxic. If I can get a Toxic on this Mew, it's completely neutered, and I'm not scared of it very much anymore. So I'm just going to go for a Toxic, as the Skuntank comes in, which is a very good play, completely immune to the Toxic. But here, I get to go for a Reflect type, and it's only now that I realise how amazing Reflect, like a Poison Dark Starmie against this team is. He has very, very little to deal with this. Sucker Punches won't work. I can Toxic the Jellicent or the Mew if they want to come in, and they can't do, like, this can't Shadow Ball me anymore. I can just Recover Stall this and beat it, and I outspeed the Terrakion and can get a Scold. Really, the only thing that can beat me is the Thundurus. That is literally the only thing. So that is so good. That's something to bear in mind, and I want to try and engineer this situation later in the match. So I'm able to get a Toxic on the Thundurus, Mono making good play, so his Thundurus doesn't have to take a Scold. It wouldn't have done too much anyway, because it's not Stab anymore, but if I get a Scold and a Burn, that would have been really nice. So only a Toxic on the Thundurus, but still, damage on Thundurus is useful. I'm going to switch into my Lantern, making a really obvious switch. Mono predicts it very nicely. Lantern is obviously just here for Thundurus, so that was a very obvious switch. And he's able to go straight back into the threat of the Terrakion, as I'm going to switch into my The Word. I'm not really sure what the Earthquake was about. I would have definitely clicked close combat there. I think it would have taken out Lantern, but maybe he was just worried about it not taking out Lantern. So here, the thing that should have died turn 1 is able to get 2 more Brave Birds off. That's an easy kill on the Mew, but Mono realises that it's potentially a win condition, so is now going to go into Skuntank, and I am going to take a lot of recoil damage there. It just takes me out. That's looking like an HP invested Skuntank. I think that was a good play by Mono. Skuntank is not able to deal with a Starmie, which is probably one of the major reasons why he brought it. So getting that damage on it, though, like, it just, yeah, Talonflame should have been dead, and it's done so much work. That play was a good play in letting the Skuntank take the hit. Now I get to go into Sir Killalot, just go for an EQ on Ocean Man. And Ocean Man is really annoying. It's going to maybe be hard to deal with. Yeah, just potentially hard to deal with. I'm just going to stay in and get my rocks up though, because this thing isn't too... This thing I brought from Mega Altaria, that's Mega Altaria on rocks, and Mega Altaria is not there, so I was like, well, I'm going to get my rocks then. Even though I could have been burned, he may have thought that was a dodgy play, but I felt like that was a good thing to do. And now I'm going to taunt the Mew. I reveal the taunt, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. If I can get this Mew toxic, then Sir Killalot can take hits for days. As you can see, Psyshock just 9%, and Surf won't do much more because I'm specially defensive. So yeah, my Sir Killalot should beat the Mew one-on-one. I've got the taunt. So I just need to get the Toxic on. But anyway, I'm going to go into Dapper Pupper here. I know that he's taunted, so he won't be able to get the Calm Minds up before I can get the Hyper Voice off, so I will be able to beat it at this stage. And Hyper Voice is going to pick up a kill here, apart from that Mono goes and sacks his Skuntank. So no kill for Sylveon. That goes down as Aggron's kill, I think, because of rocks. He was the one that set them up. So yeah, Sylveon had to go another turn without. But now Terrakion comes in again. Scary thing. Scary thing. I'm not going to switch into my Golett because that is a potential wing condition. I'm going to go into Sir Killalot as I get the prediction right again. Well, it wasn't really a prediction, it was just playing safe. I guess that was for, I don't even know, maybe it's a Starmie coming in. The Starmie coming in there would have been a big risky play. So I get the play right there, and yeah, though I got really lucky with the Talonflame earlier, I'm making some really solid plays right now. Not that that's going to... whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Basically, at the moment, I'm just keeping that momentum that I gained from that first turn. So I'm able to switch in Sylveon freely onto the Jellicent. Mono's going to stay in here. That's a good play in my eyes. Anything else is 2-hit KO'd. And just getting damage on this means that it won't be able to do anything else this match, basically, because it should be outsped by anything. A burn on either of those two wouldn't have helped particularly, because, as I say, it's not taking a hit from anything anyway, and it would still be alive, even if he got the first turn burn and the crit. Like, not getting a burn there wasn't really crucial. So here, I'm just going to stay and go for another Hyper Voice, as I'm taken out by a Fire Blast from Fire Emoji. That's quite scary. Life Orb means that, yeah, Life Orb means that he's going to do a lot of damage with Sucker Punch, unfortunately. But the main Sucker Punch has gone down, so Golurk can maybe get that Rock Polish off. In fact, when it does, Golurk might just sweep. So I'm just looking for the opportunity to get Golurk in and Rock Polished up, really. I am slightly concerned about Heatmore's Sucker Punch, but other than that, as long as the Mew is low enough, I should be fine. So I get the Skull Burn on Mew, not great, because I actually wanted the Toxic. So this could be quite hard to keep low. But I can go into Sir Killalot and just go for a Heavy Slam here. I don't really need to taunt, because I think Heavy Slam will be doing enough damage to where I will force Mew out. Mew being very light, Heavy Slam will be max damage. And look at this Heavy Slam damage on... Oh no, I did go for the taunt. I probably didn't need to go for a taunt. I probably could have just gone for a Heavy Slam right there. Because I say, I think... Or maybe I calced it and maybe it just wasn't doing enough. But yeah, this is Spadef Aggron, so I don't think any hit that he had would have KO'd me. Maybe Focus Blast would, actually, looking at that damage. But I just felt like this was a decent sack anyway. I do get the Heavy Slam damage off, and now I'm going to just switch into Lantern. Maybe shouldn't have risked this just because I still need it to deal with Heatmore. I actually do need it as well. But keeping Aggron around for longer I felt was necessary at this stage, because it was potentially a good way of dealing with Mew and keeping it low so that it would be able to be revenged by something, because Mew is definitely the scariest thing on his team right now. This thing is going to die pretty soon, so I'm not too scared. I am going to go into my Starmie right now, but this was alright. So even if he had managed to KO my Starmie or something, I could then go into my Golurk and set up and win. Because really the only way that he could KO my Starmie would be with a Stone Edge, which Golurk could take I think Golurk could take a Stone Edge and a Sucker Punch, and everything else would die to the Golurk. So that, though it looked quite risky, wasn't as risky as it looked. The unfortunate thing now is that I just give him a free switch into his Mew, which wasn't ideal. Really, ideally I would have had the other alternative play there where he had taken out my Starmie, and then I would have set up with Golurk, because Mew would have been even lower. But it's whatever. So Mew gets up a +1. Because I do have all that investment in HP on this Rock Polish Golurk, I'm able to easily take a +1 Surf and take out the Mew with a Shadow Punch. That's a fully defensive Mew. I was a bit worried because Shadow Punch is a base 60 power move. But with all the boosts that it gets from my ability, my item and everything, I do take it out. Unfortunately, I maybe should have Rock Polished there, really. But the issue was that if he roosted, then that could have been a bad thing. But I'm only saying that so that he would have to take me out with Sucker Punch rather than Giga Drain and get the health back. But I do have a full health Lantern, which he takes the crit Giga, gets as much health back as he can. But because I'm max special attack modest, my Scald is going to take out Fire Emoji. So that is going to be the game. And it's a solid 3-0 again, looking really good at the moment. I'm really liking this team. It's definitely more my style compared to my previous GBA team that I've just finished the season with. I'm liking this one a lot more already. But that Talonflame move at the beginning of the battle when it dodged, jeez, I got really lucky. It made the match a lot easier for me. I didn't have to make massive plays. I guess I would have been much more reliant on getting the Golurk set up if that hadn't happened. So the difference that it made was it took Skuntank out of the game, which is one of the Sucker Punches that Golurk had to fear. It did, in the end, the Skuntank wasn't doing too much this match anyway, especially seeing as though I had Aggron still around and it didn't need to take on the Altaria. But I don't know, maybe a more crucial thing, maybe a less crucial thing, it's hard to call, is the Mew taking the damage and forcing the roosts for the Mew, because if the Mew had got set up any more at any point, could have been a bit harder to deal with. But as I still have my Starmie as well that was still alive, so toxicking the Mew might have happened at some point in that battle. I don't think I had to click recover once, but I did have it. So really, the beginning was really unfortunate for Mono, really fortunate for me, and it put the pressure on him to make the plays, and I just made really solid plays from then and didn't let him get the in that he needed to win. So yeah, I was put in a really fortunate position at the beginning, but then I did manage to capitalise on it. So yeah, I didn't make any stupid plays. So I feel at least there's that. At least it's not like I didn't make any more stupid plays than leaving my Talonflame at the beginning. It turns out he did have rocks, but on his banded Terrakion, which he never felt the need to go for. Maybe if I hadn't led my Talonflame, he would have gone for rocks at some point. But I was just worried that my Talonflame would be useless if I didn't. My Talonflame would be useless as soon as rocks are up, because if I take recoil and rocks go up, then I only have one more switch in. So I thought I may as well get this big damage on the Terrakion, break any percentile sash, and then I'm able to revenge it. But anyway, that is the match. I'm looking pretty good at 2-0 at the moment, and really enjoying the team, especially things like Starmie. When Starmie got that Reflect type on the Skuntank, like, Mono had nothing. He only had the Thunderous. I don't think anything else on his team handled it at all, really. So that was really cool. And Skuntank went down earlier because of Talonflame. So if I'd been able to Reflect type again, that could have also been a win condition. So I did still have a few tricks up my sleeve, but Talonflame just put me in a great position, and yeah. So that is going to be week 2 of the PPL. I am going to be moving in this week. And depending on like how good the internet is and everything, I might try to do some more recording, get back to what I like to do, or maybe even some streaming. So let me know if you'd like that, if you're up for streams or not. I don't know how much of my YouTube viewership would watch streams or not. Probably doing showdowny stuff, but I don't know. I've just got No Man's Sky as well, and that's pretty fun, and that would be really cool to stream. But anyway, all that's left to be said is I've been foofootoo, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.